Hello? Is this blasted thing on? Okay. I think we're good. I swear to you, little sister, one day I'll get the hang of this recording contraption the good professor gave me. Sometimes I really wish I had his mind. To come up with a device like this that lets me communicate with you so easily from so far away definitely beats writing letters by hand. His next invention should be something that lets us talk in real time. Wouldn't that be something? Being able to push a button and talk to anyone from anywhere in the world. Like we were standing right in front of each other. If anyone can bring that particular fairy tale to life, he certainly can. Anyway, this update message is going to be a long one. I know. What else is new? And don't look at me like that. I can practically feel those eyes of yours judging me from the other side of this. Whatever the professor called it. I'll be honest, the name was too much of a mouthful for me to remember. He really has to come up with something not quite as taxing on the tongue. 3 syllables max should do it. But I digress. Let's talk about life since I've gotten settled into my new home and work duties, shall we? You wouldn't believe some of the requests I get for this job. Like, please tidy my collection of vintage thimbles according to lunar phases. Or massage the lint from my mohair poodle sweaters while reciting the Federation articles backwards. My employer is certainly up there in eccentricities. Top 3 at least. And not because his house looks like it swallowed a dozen antique stores and spat them out. Well, maybe partly for that, but more because, well, you know these hands better than anyone. These are meant for wielding paintbrushes and swirling champagne cocktails, not organizing someone's sock drawer. He keeps all his socks in alphabetical order, by the way. By color. Oh, you just wouldn't believe how quickly my mind goes on a little holiday when the air is thick enough with dust motes to make constellation maps. What am I rambling about? Right, socks, color-coded and alphabetical. Honestly, it's practically poetry in motion. Though, admittedly, more like haiku than sonnets. And speaking of poetic souls, I swear this man could write an epic ode to his collection of antique thimbles with the right kind of, encouragement. But he doesn't quite wear it on his sleeve, or anywhere else really. Doesn't seem to like sleeves much at all, actually. He's more about these exposed landscapes, you know. He says the world is not built for feet, as if his soul simply chose a different path altogether. The only footwear I've seen in this entire sprawling Gothic castle are these. Well, they aren't technically shoes. More like little satin slippers with the most delicate beadwork you ever did see. Think dragonfly wings trapped forever in ice. Do you think he chooses them for practicality? Or maybe because the way they whisper on his hardwood floors reminds him of something else? A forgotten waltz, perhaps? Or a secret summer breeze whispering through the long grasses of an endless meadow? Oh, these hands. They just have to hold on to everything. Just now I caught myself tracing patterns along this mahogany tabletop for the 3rd time since sitting down. It's like my mind wants to etch in little invisible maps onto these surfaces to replace the silence. The house itself sings a different kind of melody. Every floorboard creaks an apology when you tread on it. Each hallway seems to sigh just before bending into another room. It's like it's remembering something long forgotten. And fireplaces. Oh, those fireplaces. They have faces carved into their brick throats, always grinning, even though they haven't seen a fire in decades. It's as though they know some secret joke. There. I'm refilling my cup again. The ice keeps melting back to the bottom. Do I ever get tired of this whole refilling yourself with icy water and pretending it's something more sophisticated routine? Of course not. What am I supposed to do when a man builds you teacups from tiny salvaged seashells and they keep making these little tink-tinks? Like wind chimes inside a conch shell, except quieter. It's a lot like your first kiss, isn't it? All hushed expectancy and then this delicate, I don't know, eruption of something almost too fragile to touch. It wouldn't let me get used to the crystal, though. Just yesterday he swept in with a pair of white gardening gloves on. White cotton ones that smelled faintly of lavender, of all things. And snatched them up. Snatched these beautiful little shell cups away from me like I was trying to steal his firstborn or something. I think he's worried about something breaking. It's that kind of quiet worry you get when the world is too big and everything inside you is made of porcelain. But wouldn't that make this whole room just bursting with fragile things? He sits there in his armchair, surrounded by books taller than him. Imagine a stack of them teetering like a battered castle tower waiting to topple over. There he reads poetry aloud until the shadows on the wall are dancing flamenco. You know those old-fashioned poets? He's all about that kind of wild romanticism. Says it's less taxing than his own soul. But honestly, it makes me think there's more to him than meets these very well-trained eyes. My skirts are getting tangled with my chair again. I should really watch out for that. Sometimes when I come in here to dust this entire menagerie of books and porcelain, all this stuff he hoards like some kind of shy, brooding magpie. I swear the house actually takes a breath of relief. And then I think about how he sits there all day long, how his fingers must be calloused from turning those heavy pages, how the weight of those stories settles on his shoulders like 1,000 feathered coats. Wouldn't you just love to have him tuck those wings in close for one night, to stroke away those stray feathers and whisper something about moonlight in your ear? About how maybe this world isn't so badly built after all if you can find someone brave enough to walk barefoot through it with you. I wish you could smell this. I always come to my chambers with a whiff of honeysuckle in the back of my throat. Then when I finally settle myself down, it blooms into something else entirely. A thing that smells of leather-bound books, old parchment, and lavender polish. Just like him. I'm never sure if I bring it with me or he cultivates it. Or maybe we both make the world smell a little different, you know? Like two secret gardens trying to bloom within each other. Don't you just adore when someone has... What is the phrase? Yes. A scent like history and melancholy. All swirled together in something that smells almost edible. There's even just the faintest hint of wood smoke tucked underneath it all. You see why this isn't quite as simple as alphabetizing socks anymore, don't you? He lets me touch his books. Not always. I mean, I could spend an entire afternoon just tracing my fingertips along the spines, listening to him pronounce their titles in a voice that sounds like he swallowed all those dusty manuscripts whole, like they're still whispering through his throat. But it has to be on his terms. He keeps them stacked like fallen trees in the corners of every room, except for the library. That one's like something out of those old Gothic novels. It practically smells of dried up regret and whispered secrets tucked beneath velvet curtains. Sometimes I think he collects them because he's afraid of forgetting someone, or maybe that they'll forget him in turn. You know how some people collect photographs the way others hoard seashells or butterflies? Well, it's almost like his words are caught up inside these spines. Frozen, like those fireflies you used to chase on summer nights. But here's the thing. Just because I spend my time dusting away all this beautiful melancholy doesn't mean I'm not drowning in it. I find myself forgetting what a garden smells like in full bloom these days. And I haven't dared to ask him if there even are any blooms left outside these walls. Did I tell you his name was Sandalwood? It turns out he shares his last name with a family who moved to this part of the country centuries ago. Back when everything looked like an Elizabethan drama script. There were forests then, like emerald blankets, and men wearing feathered hats so tall they could probably brush their cheekbones on a full moon. They were wealthy merchants, you see, and they imported all kinds of exotic fabrics from across Europe. They traded spices also, and even owned a fleet of ships for a while. Eventually that went belly up like some overspiced plum cake left out too long in the sun. It's hard to imagine it now, isn't it? This whole house draped in those velvet curtains, with cobwebs hanging thicker than old lace doilies from every corner. Imagine silk rugs piled as high as a child's bedroom and his ancestor pacing across them, like he owns the entire night sky in his waistcoat and ruffled shirt. And this is the thing I like most, there are still scraps of their lives clinging to everything here, just like smoke after a hearth fire. Letters tucked inside worn books smelling faintly of wood smoke and old tobacco. Wooden tokens carved from the same kind of ebony wood that makes up his grandfather clock. Those clocks never stop ticking. Every second one is running, just in case they run out of time for some reason. Or maybe he likes to remind himself it's always moving forward, even if he's standing still. And that's all part of the inheritance too. The clock faces are painted with scenes from his family history. There's ships under sail, ladies in silks dancing at a ball bigger than this whole room. Then there's the one on top of that old grandfather clock downstairs. It's got these little frosted glass panels all around the face. When you look through them, you can barely make out what they are. A carriage pulled by black horses, maybe a woman draped in mourning black holding an empty locket. Sometimes when I press my cheek to its cold glass face, the edges of it just seem to blur. And suddenly that family is all gone, and I'm alone inside walking through those faded scenes on a tightrope strung across time. And those horses have such heavy eyes, don't they? You can see where I get caught up in this place. Why is someone like me who thinks she's got dust for blood and glitter for bones? You see why I start to wonder if these walls just might remember what it feels like to have someone looking at them with love in their eyes. Or maybe those fireflies are all I ever get. These little trapped sparks of light in a world that's gone mostly dark. He doesn't make it easy for me to decide though. Not exactly. Not on these days. You know how when you walk down a moonlit road you can hear the wind whisper through those long shadows stretching from the trees? And they start looking like arms reaching out? Like they're trying to pull you in. Well, today he looked up from that book for maybe the third time since I got here. And when he did, he didn't quite look like a ghost had walked past with an echo of rain clinging to its trailing skirt. Well, no, not quite that today. More like someone forgot how to smile and then remembered it halfway through. It's almost better than if he hadn't at all, because when that line of his mouth, when it finally straightens into something that looks a bit like daylight after midnight, It's as though those chipped edges just get more interesting. Don't you ever wonder if someone could be so intensely focused on something within themselves that they actually forget to breathe the same air as everyone else? That they forget that anyone is even there looking on? Oh, you have no idea how delicious it feels to be the one he remembers. That's what I think about, all afternoon long sometimes. How I make him remember how to breathe again just by being here dusting the things around his feet. And that's not all. There are these 2 paintings tucked away in his old master bedroom upstairs. It's a room where light never quite touches properly. He told me once they were done by some ancestor, an artist who apparently had more of a taste for drama than any painter in recorded history. They're portraits, you see, but not the kind with stiff collars and too much eyebrow raising. These are like people caught right in the middle of a whispered argument. Or maybe right before they finally get around to kissing. They're all tangled up with shadows in moonlight and things like that. That's how they always end up looking. Even when they tried to bring them downstairs for better viewing, you can't really see them properly in broad daylight. But the best thing about these portraits, and I tell him this too sometimes, though it comes out more like a breathless mumble when I finally find the nerve to look up at his face again, the best thing is they're never finished. Every time I look at them, I swear the brush strokes are different. You can practically see the artist's hand hovering in their ghostly light, waiting for something to shift just a little bit in his subject's expression, or maybe even waiting for him. For him to remember how to look at them again. They have this, I don't know, this sort of haunted feeling about them. But that's not all it is. There's a touch of something else in their eyes. Like they're waiting on the world to catch up with what they already know. Like those 2 faces could whisper secrets, even if their mouths hadn't moved for centuries. And the thing is, he doesn't quite look at them. Doesn't really look at anything, I suppose. But sometimes when he thinks no one's watching, well, you see how my fingers just keep wanting to trace those shapes that are hidden in the dark corners of every room. That must be it. His fingers do the same thing, except he traces them around those faces like they're alive under their skin. It makes me want to reach out and tell him, these people were painted for a reason, you forgot. And maybe he'd remember then what it is that waits for someone who comes back from the dead with all the fireflies caught inside them. Oh yes, don't let him tell you it's all about those shadows, or about how the moon must be full of its own private melancholy. I think he forgets that we have an entire world beyond this dusty tower. Do you remember those things called starlight nights? The kind where the air is so thin and cold you can almost taste it. Remember? There's something else in the way that black sky stretches out like velvet. Like someone took all of their most cherished regrets, rolled them up into little fists, and tossed them overboard to let them sink beneath the waves. He says those nights smell different here. Says it's because the moon has a memory and a taste for certain kinds of sorrow. Well, I say there's a reason he keeps all his windows shuttered shut more often than not. Maybe that's why he's always trying to keep himself. And what else? He doesn't have hands like mine, so carefully folded in his lap. He wants to fold me into that sort of stillness, don't you think? I believe it takes someone with more dust motes swirling around their soul just to see how. Oh, how those little things can actually bloom into light. And isn't it funny? He has a whole collection of them up in his attic. We both know he doesn't go anywhere near that attic unless the dust is starting to climb like ivy over his furniture. Sometimes I think about how lonely the world would be without dust motes dancing around things. Can you picture those little stars just waiting to make a constellation out of everything we let ourselves forget? Well, I almost wish I could drag him up there with me. Show him all the constellations he's missed while standing perfectly still, and wouldn't it be funny if he couldn't even remember what those things called stars were anymore? I tell him he's got me all tangled up in those cobwebs and dust motes, but I think I know which one really holds us all most together. It's the way he keeps saying he doesn't remember anything. Oh, it's just so terribly romantic. You ever have someone look at you with that kind of blankness behind their eyes that makes you think they might actually forget to breathe again? And then suddenly remember right when yours hits theirs? Like a silent promise to never quite let go. He lets me touch his books, but it's not like he lets me hold them. Not really. I mean, I can flip through pages, run my fingers across the raised lettering of his favorite editions. I feel out their names in the dark, just like I'm tracing the lines along some old family crest. But those books are just a beginning. What do they really say? They just whisper secrets, little choked up gasps of words that haven't been fully tasted, like those stories inside the shell cups he keeps refilling with ice water. It's like all of his ancestors are still trying to teach him how to speak again. He doesn't wear slippers indoors, except sometimes at night, when it is so dark that even I can barely see over my own cuticles and find my way back into some hidden space or other. Then he remembers something else, something more dangerous to hold. Not like a book. He doesn't want me dusting then. But when the moon is full and he lets those windows stay open for just a little while longer than usual, I catch him remembering that it wasn't always all these heavy velvet curtains. He remembers that there was a world beyond, and that he had to take off his shoes even to stand still for breath in the center of it. Anyway, I think I'm done chatting your ear off for today. You probably won't hear from me again until next weekend. In the meantime, I hope you'll talk back. It would be wonderful to hear your voice. Do kiss Mother and Father for me, and give extra cuddles to our fluffy Mr. Bingleton. Tell him I miss his sloppy smooches. Love you to the stars and back, little sister. May the heavens keep you safe until next we meet. Now, how do you... Oh, here it is.